Well, we're out there day in, day out, trying to find opportunities for our adults with disabilities, whether it's through employment, engaging people with employment,
Yeah.
engaging people with different social events that they can go and be part of in the community
Yeah.
and not in a building. Just,
Yeah.
out there enjoying everyday life like we enjoy everyday life. Transportation, trying to meet with commissioners, going to different meetings throughout the community, wherever we can get an open door.
Yeah.
We are, there.
Yeah.
Be Nice Individuals Podcast.
Hey folks, this is Thaddeus on the Be Nice Individuals podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. I have two very special guests today. Normally have one, but we have two very special guests from the Cedar Bridge Foundation. It is a group that is committed to helping people with special needs, adults with special needs, to have more of a community-like atmosphere and really to provide that space, that opportunity for them to get together and for them to, not be isolated. They're going to tell you more about it. I might have been given the wrong definition of sorts, but that's what I know of it. So Maria and we have Terrie here. How are you ladies doing today?
I'm doing great.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So give us a better definition of what Cedar Bridge Foundation is, because I know I probably just did terrible. I butchered it. What is it really? What's the goal of it?
So I think you did an awesome job
Oh, well, thank
describing
you.
it. First of all,
Okay.
I'm impressed.
Okay, well.
You're right. I think it's Cedar Bridge is a non-for-profit, a 501c3 non-for-profit organization that Terrie and I started with the goal of getting adults with unique abilities, such as autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, intellectual disabilities, to have a place where they feel they belong, a place of inclusivity, and a place where they can give back to the community. With that, we have many different events and programs, social skills programs, recreational events to help these individuals, such as my daughter and Terrie's daughter, to be part of the community and to create friendships, to also enjoy life and have an opportunity to come together in a very supportive environment. I don't know if Terrie wants to add anything to that.
No, it's just getting out in the community and being part of the community, and we're seeking things, for our adults with employment, housing, transportation,
Yeah.
and social and living skills.
Now, there was really nothing like that before, and we've conversated previously as far as how you were looking for it. You came from a different state, and there was nothing here that you felt could help your daughter, and so you created it yourself. Tell us what it was like for you coming here and not finding any of those resources.
Very challenging. We came in August of 2022,
Yeah.
and just started looking around, and we saw things on Daytona or St. Augustine, all the way up to Jacksonville, but nothing here locally.
Yeah.
And my daughter was like, what do I do?
Right.
Where am I going to do with my daughter for, 24/7?
Right.
There was just nothing there.
Yeah.
So I created a Facebook page, just looking for other families, other mothers that were in the same situation I was in.
Yeah. And was that your experience as well, Maria?
Absolutely. My daughter is in her 30s. She was diagnosed with high functioning autism or autism when she was 2 years old. We come from South Florida. There's a little bit more in South Florida than there is or was here.
Yeah.
But when we came, she became very isolated. And I was very concerned because she was falling into a depression.
Yeah.
And she came to me asking for me to create something. Back in South Florida, we belong to the Center for Autism and Related Disability Card, which is state funded.
Yeah.
It was through Nova Southeastern University, and they used to go to ice cream socials every month.
Yeah.
Ladies did. And she missed that, and she came to me and asked me, well, why can't we have that here? So I started looking, and I couldn't find anything. And then she came to me and said, well, why can't we just start one?
Easier said than done.
I looked at her and I said, yeah, why can't we?
Yeah.
So I decided to create an ice cream social, connected with organizations to see how they can help with this ice cream social.
Yeah.
Did that for, I think, about a year or 2 years before we decided to connect Terrie and I. Terrie and Jillian were coming to that ice cream social.
Yeah.
And that's how we met.
Yeah.
And she was working to get programs. I was working to also get programs
So
and
you
get
combine forces.
why not combine forces?
Tell me about the ice cream social before we go too far. What did that do for the special needs community here?
It gives them it gives them a feeling of belonging. Like, you know, typical adults just go out and have a social life. We bring them together and they have their social life and they've connected through that.
Yeah.
Organically, I have been impressed, and it really, of the expectations that I had in my mind, it just surpassed that.
Right.
These adult women have come together and formed a bond.
Nice.
They've become very close friends. They do things outside of the ice cream social. They organize. They've become leaders within the group and within the organization. And they have not only a place, but they have people, their peers, that they can talk about their problems or their concerns. An example is my daughter. My mother is very ill, and this is a huge concern for her, and she has no one to talk to, a peer to talk to. Well, now she does, and she's created friendships, and she's actually talked to her friends from this ice cream social.
That's cool.
To her concerns about her grandmother, which is what we all do. We all connect with our friends and talk about our concerns. And
yeah, it's like that support structure. You were mentioning that your daughter felt isolated and a little depressed. You're moving from South Florida up to here because you no longer have that group. And so the ice cream social, evidently it created that again for her, and I'm sure it helped with mental health.
Absolutely. I think now she feels she belongs. She has friendships for the first time in her life. I think she has close friends. First time in her life, she was invited to parties.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
You know, and she's in her 30s.
Yeah.
And so it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah. And so it evolved, though, from ice cream, which ice cream can bring a lot of people together. I like ice cream. I haven't had any ice cream in a while. But speaking of which, I'll have to get some later. But the ice cream social started as really a social event. And now tell me about how the foundation started, because you got together and it went from there. Tell me about it.
So I'm that kind of individual that I love to help. And I've loved to volunteer.
Yeah.
So I have volunteered, and I think you've known me for a while now, Thaddeus.
Yeah.
And I always like to give back to the community.
Yeah.
And so one of the first things I did is when I needed or when I wanted to start something for my daughter, I don't like to reinvent the wheel.
Sure.
So I started looking around to see what was there, and I was involved with other organizations, however, really did not receive support from other organizations, or the support that perhaps I wanted. I tend to think big.
Nothing's wrong with thinking big. Nothing's wrong.
Right. And it's for my daughter. She's in her 30s. We can't really wait long.
Sure.
She was falling into a depression. I needed programs. I needed
Right.
programs, social skills group. I needed places that she can go to and
Right.
connect. So I was in a hurry, and I really was not receiving the support that I needed.
Yeah.
And meeting Terrie, and we were working towards the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that when we work together and we collaborate, big things can happen.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I did not want to do this alone.
Yeah.
So Terrie had text message a group that she was thinking of starting a non-for-profit.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, wait, hold on a second. That's something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I've never done it because I don't want to do it alone.
Right.
You know, you need a village again
Yeah.
and to succeed sometimes. And so that's how we started. She said, really? Okay, so let's get together.
Yeah.
And then I explained my background is in business.
Yeah.
So I said, this is not an easy task. This takes a lot of work,
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah. I bet.
a lot of manpower.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. I don't know if you want to add anything to.
So Terrie, both of you were coming at this from two separate places. And what were you kind of doing kind of on your own before you connected to actually join up within your forces, your efforts with Maria? What were you kind of on the path of?
Well, I was out in the community,
Mhm.
just anywhere I could go,
Yeah.
talking to people, trying to see what was out there, whether, you know, for my daughter is employment and, you know, housing. I'm all over the place,
Yeah.
which has been great because Maria kind of brings me back to earth. So I'm out there just talking to different groups, things like Easter Silver, which is part of Flagler Cares.
Yeah.
You know, went and spoke with them. Lori Copeland over in Ormond Beach. She's got the Nova Road Community Center. Then I linked up with Carrie Todd over here at Palm Coast Community Center. And so, I mean, I'm just navigating it from that direction, is just trying to meet as many people as I can.
Yeah.
And it's not, you know, I'm thinking how I had no clue
Sure.
as to how a business, I mean, how I could get a not-for-profit,
Yeah.
because I always fly by the seat of my pants. So,
Yeah. But you had a vision, I believe, given to you by God to go out and do this. Or, you know, like, it wasn't necessarily like a vision per se, but it was definitely like that desire. And it was meant for you. And it was meant for you to come together to do this. And you both came from different vantage points of how you were going to do it, but you both needed each other.
yes,
do
we
it.
did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She brings the best out of me.
Yeah.
And I hope that I bring the best out of her as well.
She reins me in.
Sure.
But yes, to me, this is a calling.
Yeah.
It started to try to help my daughter and adults like my daughter.
Mhm.
And it has become a calling, a ministry of some sort
Yeah.
for both of us,
Yes.
I believe.
Yeah.
And I believe it is a vision, if you want to call that,
Yeah.
a God sending us to do this,
Yeah, absolutely.
to help the community. Now, with that said, not everyone is receptive sometimes
Yeah.
of what we're doing, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Business can be competitive,
Yes.
and it's a free market, and competition exists in business.
Yeah.
I tend to shy away from that, especially when we're talking about a non-for-profit,
Mm-hmm.
because a non-for-profit is about collaboration and bringing the community together and working together towards the common good.
Right.
And so I know, Terrie and I have received some backlash
Yeah.
for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been trying to navigate that. And one of our primary mission is to bring everyone together
Yeah.
The more services individuals with developmental disabilities, autism, cerebral palsy, etc.,
Yeah.
the more services they have, the better
The
they
better,
are, and
yeah.
the better their family is. And when I talk to our community, I'm always saying, for the first time, for example, my daughter has something she's never had. She's had choices.
Yeah.
She has choices of what events she wants to go to. She has choices of what she wants to do. She's
Yeah.
never had that before, and that's part of life. That's part of quality of life.
Right.
And so for me, I truly believe that it's bringing everyone to the table, the community together for the common good
Yeah.
of individuals with special needs or unique abilities. But we have had some various backlash. I don't know if you want to say anything about that.
Just that, we're trying really hard because of these are not her daughter is my daughter. All of the kids, there are kids, but they're adults. And we started with 4 or 5. Now we're, close to 30. And I don't think of them as children. I think of them as adults, but each one of them are my kids.
Right.
I feel like I have to be protective of them.
Yeah.
And when someone's coming at us, they're not coming at me directly. They're coming at our kids. And, I'm kind of like a mama bear in that respect. I'm going to fight for my kids. And whatever that looks like, I'm going to stand my ground. And I'm not going to let someone, if there's something with us, we'll deal with it. Come to me. We'll talk about it. And that's what I've always been, is that, if we have a good receptive relationship with one another, we can bounce things off one another, and she puts me in my place here and there.
Yeah.
And because she comes from a business background where, again, I fly by the seat of my pants a lot of the time. So,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of having respect for one another. And that's what we have tried to do within the community, is
Sure.
to have respect for all organizations. And one of the things that we did do is we tried to go under another organization, and that it, in so many words, we were told no.
Right.
And so it was said, no, I'm not going to sit here and waste time because my daughter's 25, her daughter's 34.
Yeah.
I'm going to, get it going now.
Yeah.
I don't have time.
There was a sense of urgency for both of
Absolutely.
us. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually interesting that we're talking about people coming against you and your mission. And maybe this was a God thing, but for me, I experienced that myself yesterday, and I'll share that story really quick. So I've reached out to a number of different networking groups to highlight them, to come to the studio for free, kind of like what we're doing here today. And there was a person who found issue with that, and I kind of had gotten a talking to because they were considering it soliciting. Like, soliciting? It's not soliciting. I'm trying to help you. But it's just, whenever you're trying to do good, and we talked about this before, Terrie, and the enemy comes against it, it could be jealousy, it could be any number of things. But the fact is, that you're on the right path when people are coming against you to fight for no reason. You were just doing good. You weren't hurting anybody. And that's something you ladies are experiencing and have experienced. Yeah?
Absolutely. And I think it's not going to stop, probably, because when you try to do good, you can get repercussions for that.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the, how would I put this? Part of the problems we've been having is, and I know we've talked, Thaddeus, part of the problems we've been having is people digging up smearing campaigns, for example,
Sure.
Against not only me, but I think also the organization as well.
Yeah.
Whether truth or lies, sort of putting things out there just for the purpose of smearing. Disparaging and smearing and bringing down an organization that is trying to do good.
Right.
For me, a little bit of my background, I come from South Florida.
Yeah.
And I was a single parent for a while.
Yeah.
Had 2 kids, went back to school with my 2 kids, got my
Oh,
doctorate
wow.
degree. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Single parent,
Yeah.
doctorate degree, did not sleep
Oh.
because I worked,
Yeah, I bet.
had 2 kids, one with seizures, the other one with my daughter who has autism,
Wow.
and went to school.
Yeah.
Along my life, about 15 years ago, I had a bad decision and poor judgment.
Yeah.
No one ever likes to bring back things from their past
Right.
that hurt.
Right.
So I made a bad decision,
Mm-hmm.
made a bad judgment, which resulted in, unfortunately, a felony.
Yeah.
It's about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But I've always been that kind of individual to give back
Right.
and to help. And I did not want that to stop.
Right.
I did not want that bad decision to define me.
Yeah.
So I continued to help. And that's being brought up
Yeah.
for the sole purpose of harming
Yeah.
me, perhaps, harming the organization. But this is not about me,
Right.
and I don't want to make it about me. This is about all the adults, as Terrie said, all the adults
Yeah.
that we're helping.
Right.
And we cannot lose sight of that.
Right.
I think we need to recognize what we have done in our past and move forward and
Yeah.
continue and do good for our community.
No, absolutely.
And that's how the way I've lived my life
Yeah.
since that bad decision.
Yeah.
And it's something that I have come to terms, me, myself, and God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And God has guided me a great deal.
No, absolutely. And one of the things I'll add to that is everyone's made bad decisions at some point in their life. It just really depends on whether or not they were caught at that time, because I've seen a ton of things happen. So I was in law enforcement for 12 years. I've seen a ton of things happen with cops. And it just, they didn't get caught, and it's just life. Certain things happen. We're put in certain positions. It says, like, in the Bible, it talks about, like, opportunity. And when you're in a certain position and maybe you have a need or a desire at the time, you're tempted to do something that you wouldn't normally do, potentially from the stress or whatever. I don't know. But everyone has that happen at some point in their life. And we shouldn't use those moments of weakness, we might say, to discount everything somebody does before that or after that. Because people can go on from there and they can do great things. And so we shouldn't be focused on one moment in time. And I'm sure you both agree with me. What do you think about that, Terrie?
I agree. I mean, it's a good thing we have Jesus as our Savior.
Absolutely.
because,
Yeah.
because of all, everything that we have done in this life, He paid the price for.
Yes.
And so, not that gives us the right to go out and sin.
Right.
But I believe that we all were given a second chance.
Yeah.
Third chances, fourth chances. It's, it says
Yeah.
70 times 7
Right. Right.
is that we're supposed to be given. And if we look at other people's lives, I'm just accountable for myself.
Right.
And, Maria was honest with me when we started our group to say what happened. And I'm not one that's going to look at her and go, oh, well, okay, that discredits you, so I can't
Sure.
go forward.
Yeah.
And that's why I chose to keep on moving along, because and there's no one that has not made a mistake in life.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, and those things that happen actually in our lives, and they can be used for good. Okay, that's what the Bible says, and I'm bringing this back to the Bible. It says for the Christian, essentially, that put their trust and their faith in Jesus Christ, the things that happen that are bad, God can recycle those, almost in a sense. I'm paraphrasing, but He can take those, and you can reach out and you can touch somebody else's life, essentially, or you can be enriched in your own life because of that. There's a certain amount of humility that you get from being in certain situations that just tear your world apart. You know, it's hard for me, and I'll say this, it's hard for me to get prideful in my position because of the struggles I've had. I'm not saying it's impossible, but, you know, I've openly talked about my struggles with suicide, you know, and just putting that out there, now it makes it where, like, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but essentially the struggles with suicide that I've had in the past, now it makes me love others a little bit more and care for others a little bit more, and just putting out that I'm not perfect, you know. And I think when we're actually authentic and we let others know truly what has happened in our lives and the struggles we have, to me, I think it just makes us more relatable. Yeah.
And less judgmental.
yeah, absolutely. Everybody is an individual. Everybody has these moments in their life, and we're all going towards something, some impact that we're supposed to have. I believe that's really what should define our lives, the impact that we're going to have. That's what we leave behind, right? That's our living legacy. And so now Cedar Bridge Foundation is a continuation of something that Maria and Terrie started. They started this impact before, you know, with the ice cream social and any of the work that they previously did. And so now let's continue forward to press forward into this mission, this foundation. So let's transition. We were talking about some of our past. Let's talk about the future, the positive, you know, because obviously there's always going to be somebody that's out there to fight you. You know, we were talking about that just a second ago. If you aren't being fought while you're out doing good, you're probably not on the right path. So count it all joy, essentially. Count it all joy when you're tried for your faith. You know, that's, again, going back to the Bible. But let's talk positivity and the future about what the Cedar Bridge Foundation, what you guys are doing.
Well, we're out there day in, day out, trying to find opportunities for our adults with disabilities, whether it's through employment, engaging people with employment, engaging people with different social events that they can go and be part of in the community. And not in a building, just you know, out there enjoying everyday life, like we enjoy everyday life. Transportation, you know, trying to meet with commissioners, going to different meetings throughout the community, wherever we can get an open door. We are, you know, there.
So most of our adults, not all of them, they've gone through an educational program. They were in elementary, middle school, high school, where they learned social skills, where they learned math, all the basics. For me, and I think Terrie and I have talked about this, there comes a time where the skills that they've learned, and they need to continue to learn those skills. That's why we also have social skills as well. But we need to translate those skills into the real world. Right? And the only way we can do that is by acting. It's by being out there in the community. So when we have recreational events, when we have social events, it's more than that. It's about being able to empower those skills, to leverage those skills, to teach, so they can learn not only from the adults that are there with them, but also from their peers, because we learn by observing our peers, by relationships. So that's why it's so important for Cedar Bridge, for the organization, to bring adults to the community. That's one of the reasons. Another reason is we feel like we belong when we belong to a community.
Right.
When we're out there being part of the community, there's a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Also, visibility from others. It's unfortunate, but sometimes people get scared when they hear autism.
Yeah.
They have a misperception of
Sure.
autism or any other disability. So the visibility also is important. That's why it's important for us to promote that, to go out into the community. And then also the giving back. When we have adults who have unique abilities, special needs, not only be part of the community, feeling that they belong, but also giving back to the community, there's a sense of pride with that. And we do have volunteer opportunities quarterly where our adults go and volunteer. So for example, I believe it was September, they did beach day. So we took them to beach day to volunteer and clean up the beach.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's that community building, not only within the organization, but also within the society and the community we live in.
Yeah.
We're hoping to do another one here in December by
cool.
giving back
Yeah.
through a local organization.
Now, do you guys have like a vision of what you want the organization, the foundation, to look like in a couple years?
I mean, we can dream big.
Yeah. What's the vision? Where's this going in the next couple of years?
Do you want to take
Go
that?
ahead.
I was trying to give you a segue to take that, but you put me in the spot. Obviously, growth is important, smart growth. I would love to see, especially in this area, transportation.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of our adults are limited not because they cannot be out in the community, but because they do not have transportation.
Okay.
So it's important to have that piece in place so they are not isolated. So they're able to give back to the community. So they don't rely on their parent if they don't need to, or their caregiver if they don't need to. Employment, I think, is important. I think it's important that we find a way that we can leverage current businesses to give adults with disabilities an opportunity.
Yeah.
With that said, we do have and are starting job coaching
Oh, nice.
for adults. The ideal would be that we would be able to go into a business and help that individual, that adult, perform their duties the way they need to perform them. And then outside of the business, be able to coach them with any struggles that they may have. Because we all have we all have struggles in the workplace.
Yeah.
It's not an easy thing. So that's another. I know that you have like your face wants to say something.
Oh, I'm just going to say housing because housing is very important. My daughter wants to be out on her own.
Yeah.
And because I'm in the mortgage industry, with the pricing, the housing prices, the interest rates, it's out of reach
Okay.
for every one of our adults.
Yeah.
You know, rent is out of reach without having to share with another individual. So those are things that, you know, I want to see our community do is some type of housing for our adults with special needs or exceptional needs, my daughter would say.
Yeah.
Self-advocacy as well. And that's part of what we do as well. Teach them how to advocate for themselves. So in the bigger picture, I would love Cedar Bridge to go nationwide.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, dream.
Right?
Yeah.
And create what we're creating across the 50 states and beyond. And I see it. I mean, we talked about this being a calling, and I'm just going to share very quickly. I think this has been a calling for me for many, many years. When I was studying for my doctorate degree, I was recruited because my daughter had special needs or exceptional needs by the University of Miami to be part of a research study, work as part of the research team dealing with developmental disabilities.
Yeah.
When it was time for me to do my internship, I did not, or my residency, I wasn't looking to doing a residency with developmental disability. That's the residency that I got. And it wasn't my doing. So there must have been a higher power. And so I think this has been a calling for me for a very long time that I have not paid attention to as much as I should have. And I think it's come to light now that this is where I need to be. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
This is where God has placed me.
I agree. I have the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how life unfolds. We're submitting ourselves to what God has for our life. It's going to be the best path for us. Certain things, certain doors will open, other doors will close. And for submitting, He will put us on the right path for our life. So how do we, the community, how do we come alongside you ladies to provide support and help?
Well, I think support in many ways, right?
Yeah.
We have a webpage, www.cedarbridgefoundation.org.
Okay.
On the webpage, we have all the programs we have, and we're always adding.
Yeah.
So we have all the programs, all the events on the webpage. We also have a Facebook page, Cedar Bridge Foundation. Following us, subscribing to our webpage, sharing our information is one way of helping.
Yeah.
We obviously receive donations. Our donations goes to the events to pay for the events. These are adults who are on a limited budget and resources. So it's important that they do not lose opportunity because they do not have the financial means to do so.
Right. And all that, real quick, all that is a tax write-off too, being a 501(c). So that is important for anyone out there that's listening that wants to come alongside Cedar Bridge Foundation. Remember, your donation is tax write-off. Did I say tax write? I meant a tax write-off. Yeah.
It sounds good when it says tax-free, right? But not accurate.
Yeah.
We all wish everything's tax-free. But so sharing information.
Yeah.
Letting people know that we exist, donating whatever you can, I think is important for the benefit, again, of the adults. Again, these are adults who are on limited income.
Right.
And so one of my visions is that they have the opportunity regardless of their financial means.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, folks out there, look, I want you to get involved. These are individuals that will be here in our community, and this community is growing, and their population is also growing. So any businesses out there that may see a place where you can come alongside these individuals with exceptional skills and really just have them in a place of your business where they can use the skills that they have will be fantastic. Publix has been really good for that. I've actually been there, and I've seen some individuals with exceptional, how do you say it?
Exceptional needs, unique abilities.
Yeah, absolutely. Some unique abilities. And I'm like, this is fantastic because they can do exactly what the job entails. And I love it. And business out there.
I do want to give a shout out though.
Yeah.
Because Target just hired one of our adults.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Temporarily, but
yeah.
They hired one of the adults, and I do want to give a shout out not only to Publix, but also Target as well. TJ Maxx also hired one of our adults.
Nice.
And I say our adults because they're so close to my heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's opportunities, and there are businesses that are open. I wish there were more businesses that are open to hiring individuals with exceptional needs and unique abilities.
Right.
My daughter worked for 11 years plus.
Oh, wow.
When she was given the opportunity.
Yeah.
Took 2 buses to get to work. Learned how to take the bus, took 2 buses, and was there for over 11 years. So these are individuals that once they commit, they commit.
Yeah.
So turnover is not for a business.
Yeah.
You're not going to have a high turnover.
Yeah.
Which can be very costly for a business.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, to retrain someone, to do all that stuff that comes along with rehiring. Yeah, it's a nightmare. So consider partnering with Cedar Bridge Foundation, any of those businesses out there. Consider partnering with Cedar Bridge Foundation to help the individuals that are part of their foundation with exceptional needs that really could make an impact here in this community. There's so many businesses that have complained of not being able to find laborers and such. Well, maybe consider partnering with Cedar Bridge Foundation, coming alongside to support their organization so that we can truly make an impact in this community. So I want to thank Terrie and I want to thank Maria for coming here to talk about Cedar Bridge Foundation. Guys, make sure you go to the website, www.cedarbridgefoundation.org, to get involved, give a donation. Remember, it's a 501(c), so that is a tax write-off. It's a nonprofit, folks. So again, this has been Thaddeus, Marie, and Terrie on the Be Nice Individuals podcast, which is hosted here at the Flagler Voice Podcast Studio. Again, folks, this is your space where you can come in here, talk about your business, your ideas, maybe you're a political candidate that wants to connect directly with your constituents. We have call-in features here to make all that possible. So reach out to us, get booked on the schedule, and we'll see you. Again, this has been Thaddeus, Marie, and Terrie. Be Nice Individuals podcast. We'll see you next time.